Most law firms think that getting leads is the hardest part, but today's guest, Chris effing Rose of Legal Flair, attorney out of Las Vegas, will challenge that in saying you're quietly losing revenue on cases that you don't take or that you deem irrelevant. In today's episode of the Legal Lead Shark podcast, Chris will be exposing the truth behind turning those unwanted cases into a new revenue stream for your law firm. If you're not following Chris on LinkedIn, you're truly missing out. He's one of the funniest accounts that I follow. Chris, welcome to the podcast. I want to start by letting you give yourself a quick introduction, and then we're going to dive into Legal Flair, who it is, who it's for, and why law firms are leaving money on the table by tossing out those cases too quickly.
Yep. All right. Am I talking now? Are we ready to go? We doing this? All right. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited. I have to say this is my first official podcast. I've been interviewed a few times, but I'm bona fide now. I'm like a real
All
voice.
right,
So I
I'm your
appreciate you
first.
inviting me on.
Yeah.
So I'm Chris effin Rose. I guess we'll keep it family friendly for this podcast as much as I can. I'm an attorney. Yeah. Just like you said, based out of Las Vegas. My company is Legal Flair. We facilitate case referrals between law firms. That's for law firms that are more business minded, that are really looking at the legal industry as a way to not only help clients seek better representation, but also to monetize a lot of the marketing dollars that they put in. Essentially, all those leads that aren't signed or unwanted cases, law firms send those to me. I connect them with other law firms that are willing to sign them, and then we all share in the fee split. Everybody gets paid. It's simple as that. It's like I can't believe nobody's done it before, really.
I loved it. When we met, I was so excited to have you on because not only do I want to provide our listeners, and they're all law firms, they're all somewhere from the solo practitioner to the messy middle looking to scale. So I want to provide so much more value than just marketing. But you and I correlate perfectly because I run Google Ads for law firms. So let's say personal injury, for example, that's kind of our bread and butter. When we're running a $30,000, $100,000 a month ad spend, there's no way to not pull in irrelevant leads, right? And so many people just throw that out and they're like, oh, well, we're not an immigration attorney. We're not a criminal law. We're not a family lawyer. But those are really good cases. And it pained me to see that they need help. And this could easily turn into a really great referral partnership between law firms. And so that's the gap that you essentially filled, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly right. It blows my mind when attorneys don't sign cases. When I call a law firm and they don't pick up the phone, it makes me rage. There's so many law firms that are so bad at this, and especially personal injury. The margins are so high that they can be terrible at business and still succeed, still do really well. And so I thought about this, and I'm thinking all of these calls that come in, all of these leads, the law firms can't be signing 100%. I mean, even the best of them couldn't be signing 100%, and the average is probably far below that. The fact that they're intake specialists shows that they're not signing as many cases as they really should. And so it occurred to me, well, who's doing anything with those? Some of them get put into drip campaigns, and others they just completely forget about. Some are never contacted in the first place. And so somebody's going to do something with those. There's potentially money there. And so
yeah, we do back end tracking for our clients. So I can see how many good leads are turned away all of the time. And to your point, and shameless plug here, we'll call it the podcast sponsor, Intake EQ. Working with Google Ads, the amount of call volume that comes in is astronomical in personal injury. And you're right, between human intake errors, between bad days, emotional triggers, taking breaks, sick time, vacation, nights and weekends, overflow, a human can only take one call at a time. I found that to be the biggest bottleneck in the industry too. And I was like, how can I fix this? So Intake EQ, which is our virtual AI agents, that's how I figured out how to solve the problem. They can take hundreds of calls at once. They have the tone of empathy every time, and they can be directed to transfer that saying it's not a personal injury lead, but it is a lead. And so you should follow up with them, and we're not going to lose this, because every lead that an attorney sends out to another law firm builds a relationship of referral and reciprocation, which is essentially what you're brokering and helping them to do, right?
I mean, if we think about it historically, there was that idea of reciprocation in terms of goodwill and establishing those relationships. And honestly, I hate that. I hate it so much. I tell people I can't feed my cat from goodwill. I want you to reciprocate by paying me. Like
Yeah.
that's what this is about. And as the legal industry becomes more and more competitive, we're really seeing the influx of marketing firms. The traditional mom and pop personal injury firm, it's falling by the wayside because attorneys are learning to operate as businesses. If you really want to succeed at a law firm, you have to be smarter as a business person, or at least hire someone who is smart enough to be the business person. You're exactly right. Having a service that answers the phone all the time, that knows the questions to ask, that doesn't have a bad day or doesn't get hungry or knows like, hey, this isn't our case, but there still might be value here. We can move it to someone else that knows what to do with it. Yeah, you're exactly right. As we see, and you see that across the board with like the cost per click going up, these AdWords getting more expensive, marketing agencies are becoming more and more competitive. And so if law firms really want to succeed, they have to be smart about bringing in more leads, quality leads, and converting those leads. And then the ones that they can't, figuring out how to monetize those as well. They shouldn't leave anything on the table.
I think that's an interesting point you brought up, because before meeting you, I would just encourage them to be goodwill, send it out to the family law, the immigration law, the criminal law, establish this relationship.
Maybe they send those back to you. Stop.
Yeah. And it's not working, right? In today's age, we're in a society of what's in it for me, like as far as a business owner and as far as like a cultural behavior. And so you've stepped in to fill the gap to make this lucrative for everyone. Kind of explain the magic behind like what problem did you see? And then how did you say, how has no one fixed this and let me fix it? Like I did with Intake EQ, right? I'm like, why is this still happening? That is a $500 call and a potential $1 million case that you just lost to your competitor because you didn't answer the phone. And they're not going to leave a voicemail. They're going to hang up. So I know you saw that same pain point, and that's what you're solving with Legal Flair. Kind of give them the rundown. Like if you're talking to a law firm, personal injury is your bread and butter too, right? That's really
it's got the highest margins. I also do in employment law. We're looking to expand into the flat fee, maybe some work comp as well. But right now, yes, personal injury and employment law.
Okay, perfect. So say I'm a personal injury lawyer and I'm talking to you and you're selling me Legal Flair and why I should jump on board with you. Kind of give me the secret sauce behind how that you can turn this into a revenue stream for a law firm.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's do this. All right. So I don't sell. Like that's not what I do. I'm in marketing. I've done selling, but if you have a product that you have to sell, you should really consider that product, because it should be something. When I talk to law firms, the first thing I do is ask questions. Okay, how many leads are you getting? How are you generating leads? What's your SEO look like? Are you doing PPC, Google Ads? I'm trying to figure out, are they a business-minded, forward-looking firm? Because I'm trying to figure out which firms I don't want to work with right away. So I'm not. If they aren't thinking, oh, I'm trying to increase revenue, I'm trying to optimize revenue, I stopped talking to them right away. So I don't sell. This is the idea of having what's like first adopters, like people that want to come in and instantly recognize the value. When I'm talking to law firms, it's, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to grow? Are you trying to get more cases? Some law firms are like, it's just me and Pops, and we're happy to do that. And we're based on family referrals, and that's great. Happy for them, not the people I usually work with. As I'm asking them, what kind of leads are you bringing in? How many leads are you getting? How are you tracking your leads? What is your conversion rate? What is your time to response? All of these questions. And if they can answer those questions honestly, they understand the data, they know the data, now they might be someone I can work with. So then my next question is, what do you do? What's your conversion rate? Qualified leads, blah, blah, blah. And then what do you do with those that you don't sign? And a lot of times they're like, we put them in a drip campaign. And well, like how many times are you following up with them? Over how many weeks are you following up with them? What about employment law cases? If someone says, hey, you represented me in a car accident last year, but now my boss touched me and then he fired me because I complained about it, they don't do anything with that. They don't know who to send those to. And so there's money there. And people are relying on their expertise as lawyers to connect them with someone that can give them quality representation. And by saying, yeah, we don't do that, or God forbid they were, send them to the bar referral service. I mean, that's like, don't get me started. Yeah. I mean, if you're on there, great, good for you. But like, come on, don't discount. If you're really just starting and like you really need those, like I can understand that it's not the highest quality of representation. And the fact that bars use that is appalling. So I prefer to be an alternative. And when I talk to law firms about this, I always see it in the people that want to work with me, because they go, wait, they light up. Wait, tell me more about that. Or hold on, I'm not doing anything. It didn't occur to me to do something. Or I can send those to out of state. Like what about these? And I can see the light bulb going off, and I don't have to sell. Like I'm not selling. I'm putting a bird feeder out on my balcony, and the prettiest birds are coming in and feeding from it. The others are just ignoring it. Maybe that's not a good, I'll work on a better analogy metaphor, but that's essentially what it is. I don't have to sell. It's a good idea, and I'm the only person doing it. I'm one of one. I'm not going to waste my time trying to convince anybody of a good idea.
I think one of the things that we all have up in this day and age is our guard is up around salespeople. I take the same approach at Legal Lead Sharks. We have a discovery call, and just like you, I'm qualifying them to see if they're a good fit, if I want to work with them. And a lot of times when I ask them, what are your stats? What are your numbers? What are your closing rates? What are your follow-up rates? They have no idea. At that point, I have to identify, are they willing to implement this? Because I know as a business owner myself, and reading books like E-Myth Revisited or Traction, sometimes you're visionary and you need an integrator. Are they willing to let me come in and help them integrate? Because we have to know what the entire cycle looks like in order for me to gauge, are we successful? And you're right. A lot of law firms are spending so much money on marketing, and they have no idea what their numbers are. They're like, well, we're making money still, so good, and I'm like, it's not a real number. And so I love, if firms want to talk to you, they get to come in knowing you're not trying to sell them. If anything, you may be pushing back on them a little bit, saying, I only work with the best firms. I only work with the firms that are in alignment with my goals and vision, because that's the only way my system's going to work for you. So, law owners, if you're listening to this, you can let your guard down when you reach out to Chris. He's a straight shooter, and he'll tell you, like, he's roasted me on some emails, Chris. Chris is awesome. I love him. He's hard people. Like, you connect with someone, and whether you've met them online or in person, Chris is someone I would love to hang out with and just shoot the shit, because he's a straight shooter. He's very genuine. We've even talked about how we have so much synergy within our businesses. We're the perfect referral partner for each other, and we offer referral compensation. And Chris said, no, thanks. If I send someone to you, it's because I want them to get the best of the best, and I want them to get help. I mean, he's very authentic, and that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast and give you some time to promote Legal Flair and get the word out there about what you guys are doing. It is the one of one, and people need to know it so they can take advantage of it. With the customers or the law firms that you've worked with so far, just at a high level, just kind of tell us what kind of results are you seeing from getting in with Legal Flair and from getting their system integrated so that they can have a lead that they deemed irrelevant or useless. They can have somebody turn that into something for them.
Yeah, so I'll be entirely honest with you right now. I have only been doing this a year, and I've only really started tracking the data for about the past 2 months, because I just didn't have the ability to do this. A lot of it was me. I had this great idea, and I was like, well, how am I going to accomplish all of this? Well, I could build a program, but I don't have the $1 million to build a decent program. So my first idea was, I'm just gonna put this all in spreadsheets, and then it just started coming in, and so I don't have time to run the numbers. I don't have time to look at the data. I'm just trying to send it out. I'm trying to find firms that are willing to look at some of these unsigned leads. I'm trying to find firms that understand that there's still a possibility to monetize these leads, even though they haven't been signed. I'd love to look at the data. I'm working with about, I don't know, Kirsten's not here. Kirsten's my EA. She knows all the numbers. But I'm working with about 30.
We all have a second brain.
Yeah, she really is. She should be behind a curtain over here, telling me I'm just the floating head. But so I would love to know those numbers, but right now I don't know. We're just now starting to get paid out on our first cases. That's how new we are. In terms of data, I mean, I couldn't even guess.
We'll do a round two interview later to get back to that. Like any business, though, you're developing your systems, your SOP, your flow. and creating something from nothing. Like a Google Ads agency is what I stepped into. There's a format for that. It was easy for me to kind of follow a blueprint, and you're having to create the map. You're blazing the trail and cutting it down as you go. I think that that's a completely legitimate place that you're at. Is I'm still figuring it out, but it's working. That's another thing too that I'm going to do a whole video, because the number one question I get asked from personal injury law firms as far as client acquisition is, how much does it cost to get into the game? That's a good question, but it's only part of a question that needs to be answered. And the bigger part of that question is, what kind of systems do you have in place? Because if you turn that faucet on, the water comes, it's like a fire hose. It comes spraying out. And just like any business, if you turn on advertising and it's done well, you've got to be able to figure out how to convert those, right? My motto is click to sign cases, but, and there's a big but here, and this is the but that you're just talking about. So this is going to integrate in exactly what we see. There's a big cash cycle from getting that signed case to the settlement to pay out. And I've got an
absolutely.
It's huge, right? And that I think that's the biggest thing, that when people start running Google Ads, or maybe they've been running it, it's not efficient. Most of it is the systems are not set up properly. But when they start running ads, they don't go into it thinking, wait a minute. Like, for example, in a DFW law firm, we got them 2 death cases within 9 months or whatever. That's amazing, right? But how long is it going to take your team to turn that settlement into money to put back into the system? Just like if you're seeing the same thing, there's a long cycle here. And I think one way that you're really bridging the gap, if I understood you correctly, with Legal Flare, is you're tracking the system. Once you do refer these out, or once you do turn these cases into money, and you're helping them on the back end, they don't have that hole in the boat where they forget to follow up with it. They forget about, they're juggling all these plates of running a law firm, being a lawyer, being the HR guy, trying to be the marketing guy. I mean, wearing all the hats. A lot of stuff falls through the hat. A lot of stuff will fall through the cracks if you don't hire people like Chris and I that are experts in what we do to offload that onto us, so that they can focus on their highest ROI, which is going to be being a lawyer, expanding their law firm, getting those leads to convert to money. So is that right in saying that you guys have a system set up to be able to track all of this and make sure that nothing falls through the cracks?
Oh yeah. Well, hell yeah, we do. I mean, we have to track all that. And that's a pretty broad question. Like, what are we tracking? Yes, we're tracking cases. Now we have the ability to track response times from our networks, conversion rates, status monitoring. We send out requests for status updates once a month. If it takes them a couple of days to respond, like, we notice that. If it takes them a week to respond, that's how we grade our network partners. And then as this all is going to begin paying out, I mean, my caseload is probably right around 100 right now, which is great from like just signing all of these and really trying to cobble this all together. But yeah, so we're tracking that. What are the ultimate numbers in terms of money and conversion rates? Just don't know. It's too hard to know right now. But if I could compare it to anything, it would be like, look, I just built a race car, and I'm ready to take some people around the first lap. And someone says, well, what's the lap time? Well, I don't know. I just built it, but let's figure out. If you think this works, if you think this is a good car, go kick the tires and then get in. And because I work on contingency, it doesn't cost anybody anything. Send me their leads. If I don't sign anything, it doesn't matter. They were going to be lost anyways. And then they just wait to get paid out. That's part of it. Like, it doesn't cost you anything to get in the cars. That's part of it. But everybody loves data. Ask me probably closer to a year from now, what does that data look like? And we can nerd out about this. I'll show you everything. What are response times? How many partners do I have? How many firms am I working with? What is the average case value? Conversion rates on unqualified leads, all of that. I'm tracking all of that, but right now it would all be essentially anecdotal data, just because the sample size is so small.
Yeah. Well, working with client acquisition for law firms, I can tell everyone listening, which I know if you're listening, you're either a lawyer or a law firm owner. I can tell you guys 100% you are leaving money on the table. And I will yell that until I'm like blue in the face. I try to really pull that point across. You already spent money on the client acquisition piece. Why not try to turn that into something when you maybe thought it wasn't? And Chris is saying right now, he's got an incredible offer there's no risk. You're not paying them anything if nothing happens. And so what do you have to lose? I love the car analogy too, because basically what you just said is I built this like badass race car, and it's a race car is only as good as its driver, right? And so you're allowing them to sit in the driver's seat and to take it out for a spin for free. There's no upfront payment, there's no big offloading fee or anything like that. And if 10 of those turned into something that were nothing, that just plays back into your ROI on what you already invested to get those leads in the first place.
No, the fact that the size of our case from just trying to build this from the ground up. I mean, I birthed this. This is my conception, and so not having anything else to build on right now. That's really what it's coming down to. And again, that's going back to the marketing. It's those early adopters. Like I find my people who are willing to get into a car like this because they recognize that it's a good, reliable, fast car that has a lot of potential. And going back, like the fact that, I tell people what my maiden name is, Effin. We're going to be family friendly, but when I introduce myself, I'm not I'm always talking to adults. And if I get someone that looks at me with that look that's like, oh, this guy introduced himself with the F-bomb. Okay, honestly, I know you're not my people. Like, we're just not going to jive because it's a sorting mechanism. And so looking around, finding those people to recognize those people that looked at Twitter and thought 140 words in an app, people are going to talk to each other. This is great. Take my money. Facebook. Oh, social media. They're not making any money right now. They don't know how they're going to monetize it, but the people are there. Take my money. And so those are the people that we should be looking for, the people that recognize what a good idea looks like and can extrapolate from there. If I have to take numbers to everybody and say, which in the end, I'll have all the numbers to prove the theory, but initially, if we wait on numbers, like it'll never come, it'll never start because we need those early adopters. You're right. So I think when you're talking to people that are asking what you can do with their marketing, I think it's those law firm owners, those CMOs, the COOs, CFOs that look at this and say, actually, this is a really good idea. I understand how this could work, and let's go. Let's get in. Let's drive, and then we'll work it out as we go. And so that's what's most important because it's a partnership. They have to trust you.
Yeah, efficiency is everything. That's one of the first things I look for in the discovery call is where are the inefficiencies, because they wouldn't be talking to me if they weren't there. I had a law firm I spoke with out of Minnesota. They saw one of the interviews that I did with my mentor on his channel and didn't even watch the whole thing and called. And this was their intake manager. And she's like, I think my Google Ads is not running well. And I'm like, well, I can probably promise it's not. If you're calling me, right, you see something's not working right. And within 5 seconds of taking a quick look at their account to show them a couple things, I'm like, it's 100% not working right. You're running a PMAX campaign in a personal injury sector. Of course it's not working right. Like whoever's running this has no idea what they're doing. But those inefficiencies are the first place that I look. And within that, how many leads are you losing? Whether it's because you didn't follow up, whether it's because you didn't answer the phone, or whether it's because you didn't work the case properly. And that number is huge. I mean, Google put out a stat that said last year, 28% of law firms that get called from their GBP, the first time it goes unanswered, 28%. So anybody that's an operations manager, run that into your calculator on how much money a case is worth to you. And then say that 28 just missed signing up with you because you guys didn't answer the phone. It's those inefficiencies and not being able to use what you have properly. Those are the holes in the boat that I'm looking for. And so when I start,
I'm going to push back on you for a second. Do you mind if I interrupt you?
No, go
you
ahead.
said the operations manager who's got 28% of phone calls that you said aren't answered. And you said they should look at that. Unanswered. I would argue that they should go back to working at Walmart because if your job is to make sure that somebody answers the phone and you've got 28%, you're bad at your job. Like that's immediately the problem. Like whoever hired that person, and I'm just going to call it out right now. Whoever hired that person is bad at hiring because that's a problem. If they just came into the job and they realized, 28%, that's a problem to fix. But if that is a problem that they created, it's been sitting with them. I mean, I would tell the law firm owner to fire that person. They are bad, inept. And so like, I'm going to ask you, like when you go to someone and they've got that 28% unanswered phone calls, is that someone that's like, that understands? And like, how do you even approach that person? Like, is that someone that's receptive to this? Are they aware that there's a problem? Like,
Okay,
how
so
do
I
you?
have a really funny story for this one, Chris. I really do. I have. So I worked with a PI firm who their ads account was doing great. And they kept saying, these are shit leads. We're not getting anything. And I'm like, I can see what they're Googling. Like, I can see what they Googled when they clicked. And trust me, like, it doesn't get better than this. So my next question, and this is what took me down the rabbit hole of fixing this problem in the first place, was, what is their intake? Well, of course, they're raving about their intake. I mean, I hope that they would think that they've got a good intake team. But I was like, I'm not taking their word for it. So I did some blind calls on their Google Ads number. And the first call that I did, it was on the weekend, and I did this on purpose, right? Nights and weekends, overflow calls are notoriously the worst because either their intake's trying to take it on their time off, or they're doing a call center that sounds like basically you should have just left a voicemail. It would have been faster and more efficient than their call center. It sucks. It's whatever. So I call and I get hello, and I was like, so I am looking at my phone to check the number. I'm like, did I call the wrong number? And I was like, is this XYZ law firm? And he was like, yeah, can I help you? And I mean, I could have stopped the test there. Test over. I have 100% identified, because that's worse than not answering the phone at all. No, this is so-and-so law firm. Can I get your name and your phone number? Because that's the point of this call, is a lead intake, right? And then
Hey, what's up, fam? What you doing? Like,
yeah, I could hear kids in the background, and it sounded like when he answered, it sounded like he was annoyed to take the call. And that was after about 5 rings, which again, that's pushing it. You want to get to the 3rd ring before you pick up. Like, you speed to lead here. Everything is costing you money if you're slowing
intake
down.
is sales. Intake is sales. Like that.
Yeah.
That is my mantra. Intake is sales.
Yeah.
And so was this like the law firm owner, one of the attorneys that was answering on the weekend? Is that what it was?
No, it was his intake team. And we got 11 different calls that were recorded that we came back and said, I'm not going to say my account, I'm doing the right thing. It's your fault. Like, the problem's on your side, because that helps nobody. And that puts me in an us versus them relationship. And I want it to be, we're together on this. Like, if I win, you win, and you spend more money and I make more money, and we're together we're a team here playing on the same team. So I provided those recordings, and I said, there's a lot of concern with the intake. This is not okay. On a scale of 1 to 5 grading these calls, I give them a 2 at best. And you're paying these people full time, and your call center was not that much better than them. And so that was my first introduction to intake is the problem that I need to fix. This is the bottleneck, because I will only look as good as they're converting. And if they're not converting because there's an intake problem, then they're going to fire me and keep bouncing around, and they're going to think it's the agency's fault, when really it was a hole in their boat that they hadn't identified before that. That's a problem. When you're hiring intake, you're typically hiring like entry-level people, or really like it's a low-paying job, high turnover rate. Intake EQ solves that, because it's very professional every time. It's to the point. It redirects people. It talks with empathy and compassion. And there's no little kids playing in the background, and it's not answered with like, you're interrupting my kid's birthday party right now. What do you want? Kind of a tone, which is the first tone I got. So
no, you're exactly right. Yeah, you're probably a better human than I am, because I would have used a lot of expletives and just been like, what is this shit? Like, it's all right here. Like, explain yourself. Think, clients or no, these are business owners. People rely on them. Their employees are relying on them to do a good job. Their families are relying on them. And when you're doing a shit job, like, that's on you. That's your responsibility. And I have very little sympathy for that. And if somebody doesn't respond to that well, again, not the type of people I want to work with, because they're not suddenly going to become really great at business. They're not suddenly going to change that personality. That's who they are. That's an internal problem, and I can't solve that. So, and that's why I get frustrated. If somebody responds to it, it's like, oh yeah, I recognize this, that's where the gaps are. I understand now. I just didn't see it. That's one thing. But like, if they're blaming you and then it's that bad, I mean, like, you're bad. You're bad at your job,
Yeah.
like that's
we gotta
terrible.
leave the egos at the door. Do you want to grow or not? And that's the real question. Because if you want to get better, I can help you. You, Chris, you can help them. We can help you get better. But sometimes it takes identifying. Like, I think the first step with AA is like, you have to admit there's a problem. And to do that, we have to leave our ego at the door and figure out what the problem is, and then figure out who's the expert to solve that problem. And leaving money on the table And it's such a catch-22 because I get these law firms, a couple workers' comp. Like I think in 1 month we got, and this is a small budget too. I mean, this is stepping onto the court of playing in Google Ads. $35K a month in a really competitive market. They had 18 workers' comp cases. They had 12 motor vehicle cases. These are signed, right, from their ads. And then they had 1 death case. Now they can go on autopilot and think, oh, well, look at all this stuff coming in. I don't care about the irrelevant leads. I'm not going to waste my time on that. But next month is not going to be like that because I can't repeat this every month. It's like how many death cases are going to come in 1 month and how many of those are going to click our ad. That's why I love partnering with you and recommending you to everybody that's running ads, because those cases are money and those are people that need to be helped, more importantly. And you're doing both them and yourself a disservice by leaving that money on the table and not working them like you own a business versus as a lawyer's mindset. Oh, that's not a valuable case to me. Nah, I don't want that case or whatever. Shame on you because they need help. And then shame on you as a business owner because why would you do that? Why would you just be throwing money out and not caring? So
yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, if they're really bad at business, like hire a CFO or something, someone that understands how to optimize revenue streams, how to reduce overhead, and really make an efficient business. Because that's as the legal industry becomes more and more competitive, we're seeing that.
Yeah.
Law firms, business owners need to be smarter about this. And you're exactly right. The first thing they need to do is look at the intake. You can have the best advertisements in the world, but if you lock your door so that nobody can get in, like what's the effing point? So
yeah, absolutely. So I read, and I know Mike Morris, you're huge in the networking. Like I need to get in the the cool kids club with you here because you show up to all the events. You are a master networker. But one of the people that I really admire, and maybe someday he'll be a guest. I don't know. We'll see. But I read his book, Fireproof, Mike Morris. And in that book, man, what a great storyteller. First of all, if you haven't read the book and you're a law firm owner, you're really missing out because it's the literal blueprint of how he got to the top. But one of my favorite parts in him telling the story is, and he hit every speed bump that you could hit. Bless his heart. Like, man, it just kicked in the teeth several times before he finally got this going. And he didn't give up, perseverance. But it wasn't until he hired a business coach who told him, you are a visionary, you need an integrator. And an integrator looks like a CFO or a COO, but you need somebody to be doing stuff that you're not good at and you weren't trained to do in law school. And B, you're not doing it very well because you don't know what you're doing. So your time would be better spent making money being a lawyer and not trying to figure out something that you don't understand or you're not good at. So he hires John. I don't even know how to say his last name. Do you know his last name? Okay. I would have completely butchered
I pronounced it wrong for a long time. Yeah.
But he hires John and then literally took his law firm from stuck in the messy middle. He was making good money. He was doing all right for himself to the face of Detroit personal injury law firms. And he will say in the book, and that's a co-author of the book, that it wasn't until he got John in place. So hire the right people. If your marketing sucks, hire the right people. If your intake sucks, hire the right people. If you're losing leads left and right because you're not working them properly, hire the right people. And that's what he said in the book until he got the integrator in place that said, here's all the holes in the boat. And then let's plug in experts for all of these. And then he scaled to the top and he's closed billions in settlements and he's got 300 employees. He's huge.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I really like Mike. He's just, he's a genuinely good guy, like super, super just friendly and warm and welcoming. But on top of that, like when he starts to talk, I've seen him speak, half a dozen times. He's just throwing out truth bombs. Like I shut the F up and just listen to him talk. And there are a few people that I've surrounded myself with that, like, I enjoy them as people when we hang out, but when they start to talk business, I recognize that, like, I'm down here and they're way up here, and now is the time to learn. And Mike Morris is one of those. Jen Gore is another one that just like, they get it. They get it. And so let's see. Okay. First, have you heard of Colby Index? It is like one of those like personality tests, but it's not like 16 personality types or whatever. But this one is where it measures your modus operandi, your mode of operation, how you operate when you are accomplishing tasks. And so for me, one of the things I'm a quick starter. Like I don't paralysis by analysis. That's not me. Like, I look at a good idea, I go, we'll figure it out. I always say with this business, I tell Kirsten, we're building this plane as we fly it. Like that's just
Yeah,
what
that's
it
what
is, you know.
I was about to quote, I forget who said it, but they said
Mhm.
entrepreneurship is jumping off the cliff and building the plane on the way down. And I'm your
Yeah,
personality.
yeah,
Jason, my
yeah.
husband,
That's
who came
exactly
on
right.
board with us, he's my integrator, but I will jump off of any
Hmm.
cliff that looks good and I'll figure it out on the way down. And he
Hmm.
might stand on the cliff for the rest of his life and never jump. So we're a good balance because I pull him off and then he has to hurry up and help me figure out. Because I think in step 5 and he's like, well, what's step 1? And I'm like, I don't know. Who cares? Like, let's just get to step 5. And so he helps build the process. So
Yeah, you're not there. Let's go. Let's go. Get the car. Let's go. You know, we'll do this first lap. We'll figure out what tire needs to be tightened when we get to the second lap. And with the Colby Index, the other part that I learned is that in terms of like being very hands on or being extremely hands off, I am at the top of being hands off. I delegate everything. And so when I see law firms, when I see entrepreneur coaches that are like, you have to learn to delegate, you have to learn to let other people do things. You're not the only one who does everything right. Like that's the opposite of me. Like I'm like, here, take this, like figure it out, you know, come back to me, figure it out. I tell Kirsten all the time, make a decision. If it's wrong, we'll come back and fix it. If it's right, we can move on. But just make a decision, because if you don't, nothing happens. I make wrong decisions all the time, but like, let's go, keep moving forward. And so when you're talking to these business owners, these law firm owners, they really need to get into that mindset of just like constantly moving forward. Not everything has to be right, but like, let's go. Start improving your marketing, looking into it, spend more, like figure out what your local market looks like, get those leads, get in the fight. And all the time I see law firm owners that just like, they want to make sure everything's perfect, or, you know, they have to approve everything. And that's a great way to, you know, well,
stay
be an
small.
idiot. Like I hate it. Yeah,
Small.
exactly. Not right. And so, yeah, you're exactly right. That's where I've learned from surrounding myself with these incredible people, is that they're very much set on moving forward at all costs, and we just rely on. You ever watch Game of Thrones?
Mhm.
It's so good until like the last 2 seasons, arguably 3. But one of the best lines is chaos is a ladder. And the idea is that when shit is going sideways and things aren't working, you have to have the confidence and the ability to solve those problems, to say, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure it out. It's not going to go perfect right away, but I'm going to figure it out. And so those are the people that I love to work with. And like when I bring on a new firm, it's like, this is a partnership, because I'm going to tell them right away, like shit's going to go sideways eventually. And if you're not willing to like get in there and figure it out with me, this isn't a partnership anymore. And so I imagine like you have to be doing the same thing when those firms are saying, hey, you know, we're not getting the number of leads we want. Like get in there and say, well, let's take a look. Let's see where it's going wrong. Maybe it's me, maybe it's you, but let's get in here and let's figure it out.
Yeah. That's why we set up back-end conversion tracking that we can see. Because I told them we need to see all of these phone calls. Was it a wrong number? Was a person not injured with it to a different firm? I need to see that so I can make your account better. And that's part of the teamwork of the ecosystem. So many ads accounts out there. And I'm like you, I'm not a salesperson. Like I'm a straight shooter. You get what you get and that's it. It's take it or leave it. And I love to undersell and over deliver. But one of the things that I know sets me apart, that I don't need to compete with other people, is that most ads agencies have no idea what it takes to turn that click into a settlement. They have no idea the middle. And that's why I invest my time reading books on How to Scale Your Law Firm by Mike Morris when I'm not a lawyer and I'll never have a law firm to scale. That's because I need to know their problems. I need to know like what problems do they have and how can I fix them? And if I can't, how can I point them to someone who can? And so you for leads, I've got a guest coming on in 2 weeks, Frank. He is amazing. And so quick backstory. I used to work in finance. I had my Series 6 and 63 investment license, my life insurance license. So back in another life in Texas. Yeah,
Right.
I know. So
I hope you're better now.
I am better. I'm recovered. But I was talking to him because he does wealth management for law firms. And I'm like, that's great. They need that. They need people who are experts in their field to say, fix this problem for me, fix this problem for me. Like you said, you've got to be a master delegator if you run a business. Otherwise, you're the lid, the law of leadership or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the bottleneck. Yeah.
You're the bottleneck. And so this guy and I were talking in quick plug for an upcoming episode. I was like, hey, I know one thing about law firm owners, PI specific, is these cash settlement payouts are long cycles for them. So a lot of times they're paper rich and they're cash poor, and they're having to take these quick loans, which I learned from Mike's book. And that's what gave me the idea to do this podcast. Another important reason you should really know your audience is, he said, a lot of lawyers will have to do these quick payday loans to float themselves on payroll, on court costs, on whatever, until the big settlement pays out. I was like, why aren't they using the Rockefeller method? And I talked to Frank, and he knew what I was talking about, like at a high level. And when I explained it, he was like, oh yeah, I do that all the time. And I'm like, well, first of all, part of branding is, who doesn't want to be the freaking Rockefellers, right? And I want the Rockefeller method set up for my own family legacy and wealth, but they could be their own bank, borrowing their own money. And so I'm like, okay, great. I have my guy, Frank. I'm going to send everybody to Frank to do the Rockefeller method, to make sure that while they're cash poor, waiting for their settlement payout, they're borrowing from themselves, paying themselves interest back, and they're their own bank, essentially. So anyway, it's going to be an interesting episode, but that's how my mind works too. Like you, Chris, I'm like, where are the problems and how can I fix them for my clients? Whether it's me or it's someone that I know that's the expert in that, how can I get them to the right person so that now they have this person driving the car and this person driving the car and this person. And then, like Mike said in his book, when he went into the meeting with his coach and his coach said, we've got to delegate. He said that was the first time he had ever been open with his firm and almost emotional in saying, I need help. And then he said, he was like, I was so touched when I left that meeting because my team, they heard what I needed help with. And they're like, I can do that. I can do that. Let me take that. He said, I left the room with 50% of my workload gone. And that gave me the creative space to do what I do best, which is win cases and get more cases and scale. And so to your point, a big part of that is finding the industry experts and delegating those tasks so that you can free your time up to do what you do. So
yeah, you're exactly right. I'm constantly, and one of the ways that I've gotten to where I am is that I would look at the job I was in and I would think, all right, what are the things that I really enjoy doing? What are the things that I don't enjoy doing? Because the things I enjoy doing are going to be the most productive, and they're going to make me happy, which is going to help me be more productive. It's that virtuous cycle. I would always look at those and think, all right, well, I hate doing that shit. Like, let's figure out a way to get rid of that, and then move into this. And then so it's like, well, I mean, I'll be honest, like I try to be a sympathetic person when clients would call me with their problems. Like I listen, like I feel bad for them, but I hate that shit. Like that's not my zone of genius. And so it was like, well, how can I possibly remove myself from ever having to talk to a client again? I know I will focus on referrals and helping other people move those, or try getting into marketing. And I totally respect what you do. I tried getting into it and I realized in that like competing with the big guys without having cash, without having a lot of money. And I realized that's not my thing. Like this isn't my area of genius. So I'm just going to put that to the side. But what am I really good at? I'm really good at networking, that face to face. And so how can I, maximize on that? And then I realized I'll just leverage the marketing dollars that other firms are spending to bring in those leads, and then use those to look at. Instead of being direct to consumer, I'll just be B2B. And then that was exactly right. Like, what do we like doing? Do more of that. What do you hate doing? Do less of that.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. Well, Chris, I love the interview today. I know that people got a lot out of it. I know that your phone's going to be ringing. I'm going to leave all of Chris's information in the description below, how to get in touch with Chris, more about his company, and then also links to his website and to book a call with him. I highly encourage.
No, I'll tell you right now, like, don't call my phone. Don't call my phone. I just said, I don't like talking to people on the phone. Like, don't do it.
Okay.
Send me an email. Or send an email to Kirsten. Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yes.
The woman behind the curtain. But yeah, get in touch with Chris. See what happens. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So I definitely would say hit Chris up and see what happens. If nothing else, he is an amazing guy. He's a great resource of information. He knows a lot of people. If he can help you, he will. That's where his heart really is. And that's why he's doing what he's doing. So Chris, it was such a pleasure to have you. I can't wait for round 2. Maybe in a year from now, we'll come back with all your results. And you're probably going to be on a waiting list at that point. So get in while the car's empty, because I'm sure you're going to have a waiting list of people at that point to come on board with you.
Yes, yes, yes. Already, I'm excited, and thank you. I'm really looking forward to round two. Like, it's a promise, right? Pinky swear.
Pinky swear.
Okay, yeah, and we'll come back and figure out how's everything going, and then we can kind of look at the numbers and stuff. That's exciting, and I really appreciate you having me on. This has been a lot of fun, and you're good. I feel like we have a good rapport. It's good to go back and forth with.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Reach out to Chris, connect with him on LinkedIn, and we'll see you guys on the next one.